Welcome to Road to F.I.R.E. Let's review our July 2020 budget. First, let's talk about our method. When we budget, we use the zero-based budget method. This means all income is accounted for in our budget. It's an effective and easy way for us to watch and track our money weekly. Essentially, every dollar in our budget is line item. We budget weekly at home to stay up to date as our expenses come in. Alright, let's get into our July budget. For income, July is a little bit of an abnormal month as it's a 3-pay period month for us, so our income is a little bit higher than usual. I'm also getting a bonus this month, but don't know the amount as it's tied to profit sharing for my company and not necessarily my salary. So that was a little bit hard to budget as I'm looking at our income report here. We also expect to get some income from Google AdSense, but aren't sure as both of our blogs have had a little bit lighter than usual blog traffic. So for those two items in regards to our bonus as well as our AdSense income, I kind of guesstimated on where we would be. One thing I want to note is that we're really lacking passive income and additional streams of income. As you can see, majority of our income comes from our jobs, which is something we are working to shift in the next couple of months. If you look in the close-up details, our W-2 has about $17,000, and again, our bonus and our passive income is relatively $500, but not really certain. I'll be able to update that as I get that information. Now let's look over our expected expenses. Expense report. So our goal is to always have a savings rate around 60%. As you can see here, it's about 56%. We're getting there, but we have a little bit of tweaks to make to get to that 60% point. Our top biggest expenses every single month is car, rent, and childcare. Outside of savings, it represents about 30% of all of our expenses. One thing I want to note is that the 15% you see here for our car is above our minimum payment. We're working on a debt payment plan to get rid of at least one of our car notes in the next couple of weeks. And if you looked at what our saving rate would be if we combined our car rate with our current saving rates, it would be around 70%. So there's a huge incentive of getting rid of our car note as soon as possible so we can begin to save a lot more. I also want to note that our childcare is a lot lower than usual. As everybody knows, most of the COVID had affected all of the childcare, and so our son has been home for the last 3 to 4 months. But starting in July, he'll be going back, but only going back part-time, which is great for us because then his childcare bill will be half in comparison to what we used to pay, and that's a savings of about $1,000 for us each and every month. Another and one of the last call out is tithing. So we are Christians and we believe that you should tithe 10% of your net income to a church or charity. And as you can see here, we're tithing around 3%. At the end of the year, we always balance this out. So not every month is it 10%, but if we're low or not hitting the 10% goal by the end of the year, we always top up and make sure we're at that 10% for the annual. So these are our top 4 expenses, but I'll dive into the detail a little bit more. So you can see our expenses, the top 4 ones I spoke on: savings, car, rent, and childcare, as well as tithe. Our grocery bill is around $350. It's a little bit higher than we usually have, but that's because we're at home and we're eating more at home than we are eating out. Our phone bill has fixed. That's usually the same consistent month over month. Household, that goes to like cleaning products, toilet paper, all those little nitty-gritty things that you may get from Target that you need. So that budget usually flexes back and forth based on what we bought in the previous month. Our utilities are relatively low, so that covers our internet, gas, electricity. And so that has been a little bit higher than usual because we've been home. And then our remaining budget items are very small. So our gift, entertainment, apparel, those are very minor. And I usually focus on the first 4 because they represent about 80 to 85% of our total budget. So let's review net worth as of the end of June. So we look at our assets. Our top assets we have right now is 1, our Tesla, and 2, our retirement accounts. We are maxing out our 401ks, and so everything you've seen in our budget is after our 401k contributions, and we're also working to max out our Roth. So there's a huge focus on retirement accounts this year as we kind of double down and reach our FI goal faster. You can also see that we have next to no money in our checkings as it's just essentially for our vacation fund. So that has kind of been sitting there due to not having the ability to travel recently. So we're just waiting for the ability to kind of go out and travel so we can use those funds. And we don't really set up staking funds. The remaining amount of dollars you see in our savings account is our emergency account. So we don't really have additional money allocated for each individual staking funds that you may see in additional budgets, but we really just lump it all into one. It's just easier for us to manage. From a liability point of view, we talked about this in our debt story video, and I'll link that down below, but we have two key car notes that we're trying to pay off. We have the Tesla is the first one, and then the Audi is the second one. Again, our plan is to pay off the Audi. Two key reasons: it has a higher interest rate and it's depreciating really fast. So we're going to be able to get rid of that as quickly as possible. Our goal is to get that out of the way by the end of summer or potentially around the September timeframes based on the additional bonus that we may be getting. So that's the kind of main focus. And we don't really have any student loans or credit card debt. So we're really focused on these two car notes. Now, overall June net worth. So on the far left, you'll be able to see our total assets. We're about $247,000 in assets, looking at our investments, cash, and our two cars. And then on the far right, you'll be able to see our total liabilities, and that totals up to be about $60,000. So our June net worth comes in about $187,000, and that's up $17,000 versus the previous month. Heavily considered, basically our cash reserves have increased because of not being able to spend and having the ability to be able to save at a higher saving rate than usual. So we're really excited of where we're going, and I can't wait to see what the next month brings for us. So right now we are tracking about 8.3% of our F.I.R.E goal. So wish us luck as we're on our way to hitting our financial independence goal. Don't forget to subscribe.